What's going on, guys? We are in Chicago, Chi-Town, doing another episode of the Entrepreneur Enthusiast. I got Mr. Trez Pugh over here.
Indeed.
I've been wanting to do this podcast for a while. I met this man about 5 years ago, before the pandemic. I was doing my workshops. I was doing my Cup of Joe with Joe workshops that I still kind of do. And usually I don't interact with the owners, but I was able to meet you. And then the way you dressed, the way you carried yourself, the way you spoke was very inspirational.
Thanks, bro.
As a young black dude. And I'm like, this dude is dope. So every time I came here, I always made sure to stop in this spot, you know, pay homage and just support the business any way I can. So now we got this podcast. It's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Hey,
welcome to the podcast,
appreciate
Entrepreneur Enthusiast, where we like to showcase entrepreneurs, especially black entrepreneurs, in their journey. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you first became interested in entrepreneurship, period.
All right. And I'll keep it brief. Like you said, my name is Trez Pugh. I'm the CEO of Savor Hospitality Group. I really didn't plan on being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So, you know, I worked for the government. A little bit about myself. I grew up on the near north side.
Yeah.
Went to public school. Went off to the military. Mm-hmm. You know, married my childhood sweetheart, which I'm still married to. That's for 40 years. Yeah. Came back and started working for the Postal Service. Mm-hmm. Left there and went back to college because I went to college earlier, right out of high school.
Yeah.
And when I came back, you know, I didn't feel like I had fulfilled my, goals. So I went back to school, got my degree, and got recruited by a federal agency. So I became a federal agent, got into real estate, and then, I got approached by some childhood friends about opening a coffee house.
Yeah.
I was just going to be the landlord, but I ended up getting duped and becoming a partner. The rest is history. It didn't work out as a partnership, and I went on to start opening up Sip and Savor coffee houses.
How was that transition then from working from a federal law enforcement to entrepreneurship? Because that's 9 to 5,
right,
and dealing with people to now being an owner and dealing with people on a different level.
Right. One thing about the government is never 9 to 5. As a federal agent, it's like 5 in the morning to maybe 9 at night. While you work in a business. One of the things I learned even prior to being a federal agent was in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about structure, discipline, fortitude, staying in power, and all that. So that kind of transitioned over to being an entrepreneur because when you're in this entrepreneurial game, you're going to deal with a lot of bumps and bruises, and you can't give up. And I'm sure we done had talks before, prior. It gives you that staying power. Yeah. And that's what helped me with working for the government, then transitioning over into being an entrepreneur.
So what key challenges that you faced when you started it? Because I heard the hurdle of the partnership not working.
Indeed.
And to have one location is fine, an owner-operator, but you have multiple locations.
Having multiple locations can be very challenging because you're dealing with different personalities. Yeah. You're dealing with different wants, needs, and expectations, and you can't be there. Yeah. So one of the challenges is being able to garner positive energy from all your employees and be able to give the customers what they need. And my thing was quality, making sure they had an elegant, classy place to be in. Yeah. So the challenge was getting everybody to buy into my dreams, into my goals.
You have some entrepreneurs lack this, but allowing people to lead. Mm-hmm. How did you gain that confidence in your people to lead your business, which is ultimately the money in your pockets, and to trust them to do that? Coming from a non-entrepreneurial background, but a more disciplined background, how did you transition to allow people to become leaders and empower them to really help your business and be a part of your team?
It was challenging. Mm-hmm. When you're used to doing everything yourself, it's hard to let go of what they call power, but I call let go of authority. Yeah. I learned through just trial and error, knowing that I couldn't be everywhere all the time for every person. So what I did was I brought in a lot of other people that had a certain skill set that did them things well, whatever that may be, accounting, whether it be marketing, whether it be sales, whatever it may be, and I watched them work. And I would still follow up because, you got to inspect what you expect. Yeah. So when you see that they can do the job, you kind of step away. But I'll be honest, it's still challenging at times when you're making big purchases and it's something that's dealing with training or you're dealing with customers. you kind of want to be involved, but
Yeah.
it's a study process and there's baby steps. But I've done a lot better.
People are one of the best assets if they're managed correctly.
Indeed.
And can be one of the hardest liabilities if not managed correctly. So you've been able to do that. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who are interested in just starting their own business?
What advice? I would say stay humble, and if you just start in whatever field you're going into or whatever industry, whether it be service or products, do your due diligence. I say this all the time. Make sure you do the research.
Yeah.
See if there's a need out there for whatever it is you're going to provide, whatever service or product. Then ask yourself, what is it that I'm going to do that's going to differentiate me from, what the market is doing right now? And stay humble. Be willing to learn and be able to listen.
I'm not gonna give your age up. I'll let the audience guess that. But like you stay up, you're pretty cool and stay up on game. So how do you stay up to date with the trends? Is that something your team tells you, or do you just, like you said, read into that? Because there's a few guys that I know that are of your age that have I like how Steve Harvey allows his whole young team to manage everything. I think it's his son in there. How are you able to stay up to date with the latest trends and what's going on?
Well, when it comes to fashion, I got a designer, my guy, Milton Cottrell, that owns agriculture. He kind of keep me on point.
Yeah.
Always had an eye for fashion,
yeah,
too.
You're fresh right now.
Yeah. I got to get this back by 3, so, yeah. And my team, my daughter, Tara Knopp, and Whitney Hampton, they always making sure I'm fresh. Millie, who's my content, social media content manager. They keep me straight on what I need to dress, how I need to talk, because sometimes I'm old school.
Yeah.
They got their hand on the pulse of what's going on now. I'm surrounded by millennials.
Yeah.
And I'm smart enough to listen to them sometimes.
So a lot of these big companies need to take that advice because they let the boomers run it,
right.
And what's going on.
Exactly.
Can you tell me any memorable experience you've had here with your team and expanding these locations? Because how many years has it been? About
18 years since I started in 2005. This 2023, so 18 years we've been in business.
Got it. And
thank God.
Keep going. Does anything stand out that you say was your breaking point of just getting over the hump and saying, this is me?
That's a great question, brother. I would say what helped me get over the hump is the community. Once the riots happened, if I had to pinpoint anything with George Floyd and all the rioting was going on and they was tearing up businesses and people was, really out here wilding out, I got in my car and I went to drive around to check on my locations.
Yeah.
And when I got to my first location on 43rd, it was a bunch of guys around it sitting in chairs, and the first thing I thought was, what are they doing? I got out, and it was all pastors from different churches that were protecting my business.
Wow.
They was like, you good here, go check on the other ones.
Yeah.
Jumped in my car, drove over here to 47th. True story, bro. Got over here, it was all Muslims over here, brothers from the nation, standing in front of this one.
Yeah.
Here's the kicker. Left here, went to Hyde Park, it was just a bunch of random customers standing in front of the business.
Wow.
Brought tears to my eyes. I said, you know what? I'm on to something here.
Yeah. And you have a big heart and a part of social responsibility. How do you balance the financial aspects of just running your business and also being in the community with your social responsibility that you've had? And you can give what you're doing with the vets and all that. But
we done talked about that before.
How do you balance that?
I always struggle with balance. I tell people, but I'm getting so much better at it. You just got to put yourself on your calendar. But getting back to your question.
Put yourself on your calendar. I like that.
Yeah, you got to block it out. And I learned that from my millennials. They tell me, you need to just take time for yourself.
Yeah.
So the social piece and financial, of course, when we first started off, you don't make a lot of money. People realize, they don't realize when you're an entrepreneur, you mostly put money into a business to make sure it runs efficient and effectively.
Wait, so you're not just an instant millionaire when you open a business?
No, not unless you're opening up a weed shop or something like that.
And then you're not
you still got to put that upfront money.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so at first you really pouring a lot of money in. I was fortunate enough, I made good money as a federal agent. My wife worked for the city, she made money, and I had real estate. So what I did early in the game was I looked out for people that was less fortunate than me. I was a vet, and I have some people I know that struggle with addiction. So I started taking care of disabled vets and recovering addicts above my place on 43rd, which we done talked about before. That's something I do on the community piece. And I think for the social piece, it's always going to be issues, I think, when it comes to the LGBT community, when it comes to police reform, inequality when it comes to payment for men and women. And what we do as a coffee house, we offer our venue to have them kind of candid, sometimes uncomfortable conversations about those things in a setting where people can feel safe.
No, that's awesome, especially in the world where we live in, where you can't have an opinion. If you have an opinion, I have an opinion, we can still kick it and talk. We just think different, and there's nothing wrong with that. And now it's like your opinion is you say something, it's like everyone's canceling you because you don't like crackers. So man, right. Man, you're supposed to eat graham crackers instead of regular crackers. We don't like you no more.
It's ridiculous, brother.
How has like, for someone to open a coffee shop, because this isn't just a brick and mortar business. A coffee shop to me is a catalyst of a community. And,
for sure.
And that local coffee shop, I know you have these big companies out there, but you go to any neighborhood, you got a barber shop and you got a coffee shop. There's other things, but you're going to have those two staples. What are some things in opening a coffee shop that someone should consider if they're trying to get into this business?
Again, I would revert back to, is there a need for something like that to be in the community? When I first started looking at doing it, I said this a lot, black folks like to gather, whether it's at church, at the club, in somebody's basement to play spades or whatever. My vision was have them gather at a coffee shop where you can have not only great coffee, tea, smoothies, the pastries and all that, but you can network. So students can come there, study. Politicians can come there and do their thing with their meetings. You have people that starting their own business could come in there and do what they do.
Yeah.
It's a gathering place. So I wanted it to be a positive place with energy where when people come there, they felt like home.
Yeah.
The hardwood floors, the music playing, the little chatter, the buzz always says like the Ear Hustle Cafe.
Yeah.
Everybody who is somebody coming through there sharing ideas, jobs been created there, business has been created there, relationships. And one of the things I know I have to do and I haven't done yet and I'm going to do it is get testimonials. Because out the blue, people will just come up to me sometimes. You don't know, this place saved my life. Oh, yeah, I think they just be asking me. No, bro, seriously, I lost my job, going through a divorce. I used to come in here and laugh my butt off with some of you guys, have some nice coffee, go on the back patio after, we close, have a little drink or something, have a good time. So that made me feel good. So whatever you're going to do, make sure you're doing something that's distinct, that's different, that add value.
Yeah. It's awesome to have a safe space to be able to think, to be able to communicate with people, to be able to meet people. Is that one of your most rewarding things about being an entrepreneur, having this place?
Yeah, I think, and it's for all you entrepreneurs out there, whatever you're going to do something that's bigger than self. Don't go into something just to make money. Go in it to make a difference. I think the money will come.
Yeah,
and that's important for you guys. But yeah, someone once told me that my love language must be service. Because I like servicing and making sure everybody's okay. Be it my tenants, be it my employees, be it my kids, whatever it is it brings me joy to know somebody else is happy, somebody else is getting a W. That's a win every once in a while, and that they feel good about stuff. So,
how do you approach your team building? Because you have a military background, and that's the ultimate team.
Yes, sir.
So how do you approach your team building with your employees?
First, I let them know that although I'm the CEO and the owner, we all in this together. Yeah. So whatever you do, I've already done and still willing to do, whether it's sweep, mop, empty garbage, make a drink or whatever. I let them know it's not a us and them, although they respect the fact that myself, my officers, have the authority to make changes and processes and procedures. But when it all boils down to it, you know, that team building piece is monumental. And one of the things I do is when we're vibing like we're supposed to, when we're doing the things that need to be done, I'll take them out bowling. I'll take them to dinner. I'll take them and their kids to the movies or whatever. And it's the little things, bro, that let people know you care about them.
I want to go on even more on that. How important is it to invest in your team and to make sure they're happy? You know, I want to stress that to entrepreneurs out here that you got to hire people and take care of them because they're an asset.
Man, bruh, you just hit it right on the head. Again, let me let you entrepreneurs know. You cannot do this without people and good people because they represent your brand. Yeah. You can't be there. If you, for instance, when it comes to me, we got multiple locations. Yeah. I don't care how cold you are, how smart you are. You can't be at all of them at the same time. So you have to let them know, whether it's through words, whether it's through some type of financial reward, or sometimes just telling them, I appreciate what you do. I couldn't do this without you. I make it my business to tell all my employees, I can't do this without you.
Man, that's a blessing, especially in a business, because a lot of times you don't talk to the CEO or owner. No. Talk to HR or somebody else. Like, you don't get to talk to the owner. And like we came in here, we had the opportunity to act as customers, order coffee, and had great service from the gentleman over there. Shout out to him. And the coffee is good.
Man, it comes from the motherland. What you think, bro? Cameroon, right? Come on, man. Come on, Joe.
How'd you figure out where to source
this ain't no Folgers, brother. What you come? Did you come in and thinking you getting Folgers?
Yeah, that's some good, no, I'm coming messing with you, brother. Like, so what? Because you weren't in the coffee business, you know. How did you find out where to source your coffee from, and what challenges did you face with that?
Again, getting back to what I said about doing your due diligence, understanding the market, and understanding you need to know your craft. So I didn't know nothing about coffee, bro. I didn't drink it, and I don't eat sweets.
Oh, wow. You didn't drink it?
Just started drinking about 5 years ago. For the first 13 years I owned the place, I didn't drink it, bro.
I can't start my day without having a cup of coffee.
Me neither now. It's not 2 or 3. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. What made me got really interested in it, when I started doing my research and everything, I started sitting outside them other big coffee places. I won't say their name. And I see how many people coming in and out of there. Next thing I started seeing was the coffee industry started changing everything. I don't know how old you are, but Dunkin' Donuts used to set time to make the donuts. Now it's America runs on Dunkin'. If you look at gas stations, Speedway, and all these other ones, 7-Eleven, everything, we got Arabica beans from so-and-so. Gas stations, donut places, everything was coffee. So I started paying attention to that. Next thing was I looked at the commodities. Coffee is the second largest traded commodity in the world, behind oil. You take that and you put it with, it's addictive. It's a perfect formula or cocktail for success if you can get the right people selling it. Yeah,
I remember my time in Thailand. There are all these different coffee shops, and that's when I got on my coffee. I would say it's addiction now. Because I was there and they have their coffee shops, and you just go sip on some coffee, and it tastes a lot different from Starbucks. My introduction to coffee was Starbucks coffee bean. Then when I start drinking real coffee, I'm like, oh no, like this is great. I need this in my day, you know, to get my boost going, and even just to settle me. And then I know there's some people say there's health benefits and not health benefits, but it was, you know, great to know. How do you stay connected and let the community know outside that your customers, like the value of what the coffee has, and even the shop? How do you stay connected with that?
Well, I got a team that really does that. Most of the times I speak at a lot of events, or I may go to a university. I may go to some type of gathering, let's say 100 black men, or BAM, Becoming a Man. Sometimes I speak at just different events, and I always use that as my platform to let them know what we do that differentiate us from all these coffee houses, or coffee shops. We're coffee houses. One of the things I always try to stress is we're more than just coffee. You know what I'm saying? We education, we empowerment, we entertainment. It's all about the experience. And I'm always mention them 5 C's. You know me. We crisp, clean, classy, consistent, and all about that customer service. So what differentiate us and what let other people know what we're about is my ability to talk about it. Yeah. Of course, my social media director, Millie Frick, she always putting it out there on Facebook, Instagram. And when I get an opportunity, like when you came in, you could be a conduit for me. You know, you could be one of my ambassadors. We start talking and chopping it up. You see, you went to LA, you done been to Atlanta. What happened? You come back here, dude, I need you on this podcast. Yeah. Because somehow I touched something in you that you felt somebody else should hear.
Absolutely.
And you know what I say about you, young brother. You killing this game. I mean, that no excuses. I know this about me, but man, you killing it with that joint.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's the mentality we gotta have. And you know, I got a few more questions here. You know, and I appreciate your time. But you mentioned having the marketing team. How do you approach the marketing and promotion? And what channels have been the most effective for you guys?
Well, one of the things I do is I sit down and I listen, because I'm nowhere near a marketing person. Yeah. You need to know that. Yeah. I listen to the professionals, PR, marketing, and social media. They go out and they do the research on what's hot, what's not, what's trending. You know, I'll give them my input on, you know, I looked at all these other coffee shops, this is what they doing, what say you? They come back and say, this is what they doing, but this is what we can do to put our spin on it. Next thing you know, we doing videos, we doing reels, or we throwing some type of event to let people know about our coffee. It's not just coffee from around the way. It's coming from the motherland, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Uganda, Costa Rica. It's free trade. The people that's picking our beans are living in homes. They not out there making $3 a month and living in huts. So when I get up, I got to feel comfortable about, you know, myself and the people that's in the supply chain that's supplying me. I need to know that they living okay, bro.
And that's how you introduce a quality product. It's quality from the top down. And so tell me what's next with Sip and Savor as far as the charitable things that you're doing, as far as the business things you're doing. What's next in the business? What can people expect to get from you?
Well, don't blink. There's always something coming up. You know me. I would say what's next is to continue to improve our processes, improve to hire from the community, and continue to change the narrative. And what that is letting people know that you don't have to be a ball player, you don't have to be an entertainer, you know, and all this to impact your community. Yeah. You know, people always talk about Jordan and all these people and LeBron James, how much money they make. I said, what do you think the owner make if he can pay them? Man. So you need to own something to change things. You need to be able to do that, to be deliberate, intentional, make a difference, and that's what's next for us. Continue to change the narrative. Continue to build this brand. And while we building it, educating our people on financial literacy, educating them on the importance of being able to have staying power, staying positive, and trying to get rid of that negative connotation that we all have about black folks not having quality product or it's not going to be good service. Yeah. I'm on a mission to change that, bro. Yeah. I mean, we deem what's luxury. You know, and I'm you know that. It. I know you know. We done had conversations, bro. We deem what's luxury, you know, and I always tell people that, you know, people buy what we buy because they want to be cool like us. So we continue to buying us, then we good. You know what's really interesting, and we had a conversation before we went on, is we the biggest consumers in the world. We spend trillions of dollars on buying other people's stuff. Imagine if we take that money, pool it, and purchase stuff. Think about that. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Indeed. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We have to, you know, find a space where we continue to support our businesses, support our own, and if we're going to go to Gucci, we can go to the same brand of a black-owned shoe company, black-owned product. And the quality. That's why, like I said, all my stuff I got on here, man, a brother made all my joints. Yeah, he made it. Custom. Milton. He took care of this joint. See, so that's the luxury right there, you know. And I appreciate you being on this podcast. Oh, it was a blast, time, man. Where can they find you? Any last words you want to give them? You ain't gonna find me. I'm hiding. No. So you can get in touch with us at info@sipandsavorchicago.com. Our website is the same, www.sipandsavor, spell out and sipandsavorchicago.com. And of course, you can always follow us on IG and Facebook, Sip and Savor Chicago.
Look, guys, there's no excuses and no reason why you can't start your entrepreneur journey. A lot of people are getting laid off from their jobs. A lot of people are transitioning from their jobs. But understand that being an entrepreneur, we got a lot of the clarity from individuals like Trez here to understand. And ultimately comes down to having no excuses. So I want to gift you my no excuses hat.
Oh man, you know I'm gonna rock this joint.
No excuses, because
appreciate you, brother.
You gotta say it 3 times because we have that barrier a lot of times on ourselves, and we put such high standards on ourselves rather than putting out our product and putting out our service and finding that first customer. That will gain you so much confidence. So subscribe to the podcast to get your entrepreneur toolkit at joeluckett.com, entrepreneurenthusiast.com. Thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate this episode. If you come to Chicago, you got to stop at one of the many locations. We'll drop everything in the link. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Another episode of the Entrepreneur Enthusiast.
My man. It was a slice.
Yeah.